Hi everybody, 'tis the season 2017. I'm super excited. It's Audrey and this is day 1 of the 12 days of scrapping videos. So every year I get together a couple guests, a new guest every day. This year I have 2 guests on some days, so a lot of scrappy goodness. And my guest today is Elsie Robinson, so I'll link her YouTube channel below, and you probably know her. She does amazing creative things. Also, I am featuring a page today for the Hip Kit Club blog hop, which is also going on for 12 days, and you can get a free cut file, some days 2, or printables and other goodies every day for the next 12 days there as well. Speaking of cut files, these are the 2 cut files that I am using from the Hip Kit Club store. So one was designed by Jana and the other one was designed by Kim. And they were both Christmas trees, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to use both cut files because they go very well together. So I have opened the files and traced them because when I open the files, I usually open the PNG and trace them because I just save the PNGs right into my Silhouette Studio. And I know I want to have like a row of Christmas trees. I drew some rectangles that were the size of my photos, so my photos were about 3 by 4. And I'm just playing around here with the Christmas tree. I know I want to put one of them as the big tree in the background and then have the other ones kind of scattered in a line a little bit. So I am going to be using the November Hip Kit Club kit, papers and embellishments and all the kits for this page today, along with these cut files. One of the cut files had the little stars too. I don't actually end up using those, but I cut them out of white cardstock anyway because they're good to have. So I think that this is going to be the design of my page, and this ends up being pretty close to the design as far as the cut files go, but I do change up the photos a little bit, which I will show you. I was playing with the idea of maybe putting stars on top of each of the Christmas trees, but I just like the way that trees stood up by themselves. So to make the main tree, I wanted to use green, and there wasn't really a lot of pattern paper in the kit that was this shade of green. However, there is the cardstock kit, which contains this kind of moss green, and in the color kit, we got the new Distress Oxides, and this is one of my first time playing with them, so I watched lots of YouTube videos for techniques, and this I think is my favorite when you put them on, you know, just put them on a piece of cardstock or whatever, and then splatter the water on them, just the kind of, well, distressed, hence the name, look that it gives, and I just love the water droplets. The other really thing, it's really cool, I didn't show you, is the back of the cardstock also like turns out a little funky with colors as well. Anyway, there's all my files cut out. So I picked a couple pattern papers, and I picked the tree on the left there on my desk is actually cardstock as well. That's another piece of cardstock that came in the kit. And this is how I'm going to arrange them, and there's my photos, which are the size that I had shown you in Silhouette Studio. I decided to back a couple of these that had open spots with some pattern paper, specifically red, because I wanted to bring a few pops of red in. So I took these 2 trees and I'm just putting some red pattern paper behind each of them to bring in a little bit of interest. And the other 2, I think I leave those plain. Yeah, I leave the blue one on the left plain for sure. And then that was the only bit of that kind of bluish green I had, so I'm going to just fill in the half of this tree here, and it has little stars cut out of it, so super cute, just to kind of bring that balance in. So when I do this, by the way, and I'm designing in my Silhouette Studio, I kind of think of the colors I'm going to use ahead of time, so that when I cut them out, I know what colors I'm going to cut each tree out of. So I plan that in my head in advance before I actually cut them out. So I wanted to add a little mixed media to my background, something to contrast that green tree and add some fun stuff in the background. So this is just plain white cardstock, and I did not put gesso on it. I probably should have. And it's not the marshmallow cardstock either. I know that it's a type of cardstock from Basil, the marshmallow, that's really thick and is good for mixed media. And you don't have to gesso it, but this one is just the plain Basil white. So I just kind of layered a whole bunch of water on it and then did my smooshing with the plastic packaging and just kind of a really light blue. And I like the way that came out. So as I was drying here, and I usually cut my drying out, but I pulled out the piece of white cardstock that I had cut the stars out from the cut file, and I thought, I'm like, that is a cute little stencil, so let me try that. So I grabbed my gold Heidi Swap Color Shine, and I tried spritzing it, but you can see that I kind of got some of the lines from the paper on there, and it wasn't very flat, so it was hard to spritz through. So I grabbed a little sponge, and I'm just smearing, I tried to put it back over where I had it originally. I'm just smearing the mist in with the, blending it in, I should say, with the little sponge, and that worked pretty awesome. So I love that, and I love the little gold that I added to the background. And then I did a few pink splatters too. That's an old Shimmers, really old. It's almost empty. I think it's called Cotton Candy. So I had a little bit of blue, pink, and gold in the background. Perfect. The tree doesn't look as distressed as I wanted it to look. So I'm going to go back through with some more of the inks here, and I'm wondering, like, if I had cut it out of white instead and did the green over the white, if that would have given a brighter color. But I mean, the end result is great. It was just what I was looking for. But curious if I had cut it out of white and added ink over it, if it would have been any better. But coulda, woulda, shoulda. So I like it still. Moving on. You'll notice, by the way, on that green tree, the bottom left branch is had a little like line cut in it wrong. Because my paper was so wrinkled and my mat is so not sticky right now. My cutting mat, I really need a new cutting mat so bad. It started cutting the line wrong and the paper was getting bunched up, so I had to pause it and straighten out my paper and continue the cut. So luckily the rest cut out okay. All right, so here is where I had an idea. I did not like how big my photos were. They looked great in Silhouette Studio, but I didn't like how it was looking. I thought it was covering up too much of the tree. And I had thought about decorating the trees with some ornaments anyway. And then I just had the idea, well, why don't I make my photos kind of into ornaments and let me cut them into circles. So I have an old circle template, super old. It was one of my first scrapbooking supplies ever. So that makes it like 12 years old. I got it at Michael's way back when. I don't even know what brand it is, but I measured each circle and I wrote in Sharpie how big each circle really was. So I cut my photos out, and I sometimes don't like to do that because I feel like I cut out part of the photo, but I think in this case I really captured, when I cut out with the circle, what it is I wanted to capture in the photo, and I was still, able to keep all the stuff I wanted in there. And I backed them each with white paper too, because I like having a white border around my photos. So this is where I had another epiphany, and I thought, what am I going to do? Because that one little piece of paper was cut in the bottom branch there, and I thought to myself, well, I'll just cut the other branches as well. And I thought maybe this fringe will look really cool. So I kind of fringed up all these edges and just kind of random, and I really, really love how that came out. So I'm happy about that, that little happy accident, I guess, because it was not something I was originally planning to kind of do this fringe look on the tree. So as I continue to work with it and add things, the ends kind of get ruffled up more and more, and I really love how it comes out in the end. Okay, so I'm going through all of my Hip Kit Club goodies. There is so much in this kit. By the way, I'm doing my pages out of order. So this page I'm creating right now is actually the 6th page I've created with this kit. So you can see that there's a lot of stickers and other things missing already. So of course you'll be seeing the rest of those pages in the next 12 days. So that's why this kit might look kind of empty, because I've been using it like crazy. I love it. I just can't get enough of it. It's so diverse, and you can just mix these colors so well to get some amazing pages. So I looked for a whole bunch of ornament embellishments, and I found some on the puffy sticker sheets, which were from Pink Fresh Studio. I found some on a sheet from maybe American Crafts or Crepe Paper, I don't know. And then a couple of the wood buttons, which were exclusive, as are these. They're kind of like, what do you call them? Not a leather sticker, but they're kind of like leather feeling. I don't know. I know that has a name. I can't think of it right now. But those were exclusive as well. And I believe that those were designed by Kim Watson, who actually designed these cut files as well. I love Kim's work. Oh my gosh, I've always been such a huge fan of Kim's stuff. Anywho, so I was playing around with embellies. I liked the Twinkle Bright for a title, so I'm going to leave that there under the photos. And I just wasn't sure what to do with the top and the bottom of the tree. And finally, I decided on this little bow. And another part, one of the embellishments that come in the kit are little buttons, and there is a gold star button, which was just perfect. So I put that on the bow on the top of the tree. I'm going to add some few tiny star stickers and scatter them in the top right and the bottom left, just to kind of get that diagonal flow. And I'm going to end up putting my journaling on the bottom right, so I do put one little sticker down there, a little red one. I guess it's more like a poinsettia flower than a star, but those little red stickers. But just something to draw your eye down there just a little bit. I considered putting presents under the tree because there were a whole bunch of present stickers and stuff, but I decided against that because I just wanted the trees and the ornaments to be the focus. A few enamel dots to continue on with that little circle theme. And I think I'm pretty much done. I don't think I want to add too much more, except I felt that I wanted to add some texture with some stitching. So I'm going to go back here in a minute and do some stitching. Before I do that, I'm going to start gluing down the things I know that are going to stay there. So my thought is I'm going to stitch rather over the green tree, the moss green tree, and I'm going to stitch around my photos as well. So before I do that, like I said, I'm going to glue the rest of the stuff down so it doesn't lose its place. So some stuff I'm just gluing straight to the background with my liquid glue. Other things I'm going to pop up with some 3D foam squares. I decided not to back this tree because I liked seeing the lines of this tree, and besides the background had some mixed media on it too, so I wanted to be able to see that through the trees. I like having a mix of the trees that are kind of open cut files and then ones that are completely backed with paper. Okay, so I stitched with green thread over my tree, my green tree, and I stitched with some gold thread around my photos. I get really nervous when I stitch with the gold thread because my thread tends to break, my metallic thread tends to break a lot in my machine, but I've learned to go really, really slow when I stitch with metallic thread and just take my time. And you got to make sure you have the right thread in the bobbin too, because I think that makes a difference. So once those are glued on, it's just a matter of adding these other little bits here. And I'm going to pop this off with pop dots, and I think that's about it. I don't do too much more here. I do add my journaling and the date. I decided to journal in blue for a change. That's something I don't ever do. But there it is. There's the finished page. I'm really happy with how this came out. I'm glad I did that fringe on the tree. I love the mixed media in the background and use the star cutouts as a stencil. And I love these cut files. And I love that I did the circles, or the photos into circles. So totally something different. So thank you so much for day one. I'm so excited. 11 more days. It's going to go by fast. I know it. Make sure you check out Elsie's channel too. I'm sure you'll love what she does. Thanks so much. Stay scrappy, my friends, and I'll see you for day 2 tomorrow.